Which
Congratulations.
means...
Make up with Stephanie and Roy, because Roy always takes over. Okay, I'm going to leave that there while I type.
And see if I can get... Okay.
Which one did you get? This is just a chapstick. It's a tinted chapstick, but it's cool. It's rose petal tinted chapstick.
It's in the box.
Bag. Ooh, we should get a box, though.
Bag. Yes, get
I should
something
up-
I can get my hand in. That thing I can...
Well, let me work on that to accommodate to your fat hands. Okay, so national days. I'm just kidding. Other than Michelle's birthday, which is obviously a national day, we have... I can only pick one. You know what? Let's go with National Great American Pot Pie Day. But you know what? I have a question. Really, this is like genuine, I swear. I'm not trying to put another one in there. What is Checkers, Dogs, and Politics Days? What does that mean?
You're joking me to death. I have no idea.
National Checkers/Dogs and Politics Day.
What do you mean? I mean, is there a day
I don't
that has
know.
all three of them in it?
National Checkers, Dogs, and Politics Days.
That didn't even make any sense.
That's why I thought maybe you would know. All right, I have a joke for you.
Uh-oh.
If you're not over here dying on me. Okay. What kind of things does a farmer talk about when milking a cow?
I was going to say something, but I better not.
Yeah, you probably should.
What is it?
Utter nonsense.
No, I don't know.
Dun, dun, tsh. Which brings me to my next thing. Don't forget to check out our local farmers market tomorrow, Thursday at City Hall.
There you
Like
go.
how I did that?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I know, I thought so too.
Getting pretty professional at this.
Am I?
Well, maybe. Don't
No.
get too confident.
I'm not. Whatever. Anyways, we're going on Facebook.
Okay.
If I can move all your...
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday. Live at 5 on IE Newswire, Facebook, and
YouTube!
on that every day as we start off. And then at the bottom of the hour, we'll join into the Mighty Met 1490 KMET on that on a...
What the what? Wednesday.
Change gears on
I
me
did.
there.
That's
Trying
fun.
to
Fun throw you
throw
off.
me off.
Yeah. It worked.
Not
No,
really.
but-
I didn't bite.
Yeah, you did. You stopped.
Well, because I could hear that it wasn't going what you told me in the first place.
I don't even remember what I told you. That's why I changed it.
You know, the
Anyways.
beginning of Alzheimer's and stuff is like you can't remember what you did 5 minutes ago.
I don't have that.
You might be the earliest, or I know Parkinson's disease, I think it is, or one of them. You might be on the early onset of that.
I don't forget anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Where
Okay.
are we? I'm just kidding.
There are a lot of, well, again, it's just like you cannot stop the madness of the news coming on. It just seems like when you think, the old adage, you just think it can't get any worse than this.
Oh, but it always does.
Yes. I mean, like yesterday, the Board of Supervisors, you're thinking, you can't have a bigger clown show than that. Well, we'll have here in a minute, we'll show you a bigger clown show that went on at the Board of Supervisors office and that. And again, it's a lot of the things, and we talked about respect and things like that. And we're going to show you a clip from the Trump news conference this afternoon on that. And you wonder why, sometimes things get haywire, or, it results in or evolves into situations that go, completely haywire on that, or people start getting on, people just, I guess, just start getting on your nerves, or they're just being very impolite, or I guess you could say pushy, trying to present their point of view when you are a reporter at the news conference, at the president's news conference. You are there to ask a question of clarifying policy, not to try and inject your political positions or feelings or whatever on that. And this has gone on too long in our society of that. But we're going to start off. There was a tragic story down in Anaheim today. A man who was a heavy equipment and industrial truck mechanic. He was getting ready to go to work. And, he's got lots of tools, and probably his life's wrapped up in that.
Right.
You can easily have $10,000 to $50,000 worth of tools in something and doing something like that. Accumulated over a long period of time of that to do the kind of jobs you need to do that. It's a pretty significant investment of that. Guys going to work. I think 2 or 3 people tried to attack or tried to steal the van, obviously, because the tools are probably worth 3 times more than the van, and they're a very easy defense versus a stolen car. It's much easier to fence, tools and equipment, small, drills, sawzalls, electric and air impact guns, and 1.5 inch wrenches and things like that. It's very easy to steal. So here we're going to run a CBS 2 report of the report where the man passed away on that very tragically of this. So here we go.
The man who was hit and killed by his own car as someone was stealing it. Police say 33-year-old Jose de Jesus Berrieza died in southeast Anaheim off Lincoln and Suncrest. Now, the hit-and-run driver sped away, police say, but the car was recovered later in Anaheim. Police say they have several people in custody in connection with that killing.
So apparently from reports that we have heard that Jose Berrieza, who actually was trying to stop them from stealing his van, somehow got thrown out, or of the van, was run over by his own van on top of this and killed. Tragic.
How horrible. 33 years old.
Of that, yes. And it's that they did make an arrest. They finally did find or they did arrest some suspects of that. Omar Sanchez and 28 and 21-year-old Yanessa Escarado, or however, probably butchering that name. Both of Anaheim were arrested on suspicion of murder, carjacking, and receiving stolen property. Andrea Gomez, 29, was arrested on suspicion of being an accessory. So if these 3 are ultimately convicted in that, if there was ever a reason, and we're going to get into Governor Hairgel, and this is what I still can't even believe. I can't believe anybody, not even what he's done lately, but when he campaigned for governor in 2018, I think it's like over 60, almost 2/3 of the people voted to reinstate the death penalty in California and carry it out swiftly. You remember the Proposition 66, was it? Something like that. Or 68, maybe it was that. Something like that. I remember 60-something. Over 2/3 of Californians voted for that, or close to it. So that cuts across pretty much any racial, economic, whatever configuration. When you get that many people that are supporting it and want it carried out, that's a pretty popular opinion.
Right.
So when he was running for governor, he says, I am personally opposed to the death penalty, but I will carry out whatever the laws are of the will of the people, yada, yada, yada. Okay, that's a perfectly good position. I don't care if you're opposed to the death penalty or you think for whatever reason, But if you say that and you say once you become governor, you're going to uphold the law and follow the laws, then okay, let's do it. No problem. I mean, it's like we talked about with Supreme Court justice separating your personal views versus what the law says. You're not supposed to let your personal feelings or what you would like to see dictate that. You're supposed to rule on whatever the law is. Or if you're a jury on that, you got to rule on the facts presented to you, not what you feel about. So if there was ever a case for the death penalty, this should be it. If these three are convicted of the murder of Jose Barazella, they deserve the death penalty. No hands down, no question, should be carried out swiftly. But this is what hair gel does. I mean, they had, I don't think he had probably took his hand off the Bible or whatever he was doing, swearing in an office, and he said, "That's it. No death penalty. I'm not executing anybody." Now, if that is not a lying sack of blank, why anybody would trust anything that man said or did after that point, explain that to me. Explain how just after that, notwithstanding all the other crap he's pulled.
Right.
I mean,
but on one hand, I mean, maybe what if something changed his mind? What if?
No. He said, "I am personally opposed to the death penalty." He had been for years, but all of his political career.
But he said that he was for it during his
He said
campaign?
he would carry out the law as it was prescribed and as the people voted on 68 or 66 or whatever the number was to carry out the death penalty. He would not stand in its way while he was governor. Very clear, because he knew politically it was suicide to go against the death penalty, because the vast majority of the people of California, like 4 years before, at a 60% plus clip, supported this.
Right. Line sack of blank.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, how could you trust anybody?
But even, okay, so these three, that were involved in that, even if they don't get, executed immediately, why wouldn't you just keep them in jail until they die?
Well,
at the very least, is what I'm saying. But these three, at some point, are probably going to get released within 10 years.
That wouldn't surprise me. But it is cheaper. Right now, it's cheaper to keep somebody in
than
prison.
To kill him?
Yes.
Why?
This is why you tune
Gun,
into this
one
program.
bullet.
Yes. No.
Oh,
it costs 3 times more to house somebody on death row because they're in isolation and you have all the court appeals and all the processes and everything. There's a special process.
They freaking murdered somebody. And why do they need to go to court? Sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But this is why because it was taking 20 plus years in California to execute somebody through all the process. Texas, I think, is like 5 years.
Really?
If you've been convicted in 5 years, you got 5 years to file any appeals, protest, do whatever. Comes up at the 5-year date, you're going into the firing squad, electric chair, or whatever, the lethal injection or whatever it is. And we passed that, and I think ours was 5 years too. Because none of our legislature would do it, so it was put on the ballot. People of California passed the Swift Execution Act of that. If somebody's got the death penalty, they have 5 years. So that would make it, because the average person was lasting 20 years on death row. So you figure at the point of keeping them, and it's costing 3 times as much, they would have to live 60 years to equal the cost, which most people are, usually in their 30s, 40s, or 50s when they're convicted of murder. Even if you're in your 20s, your odds of living in prison till you're 80 are very, 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 very slim. So it's actually cheaper right now with our stupid laws. That's why we put that law in effect, and Governor Hairgel basically nixed it. So now we got to keep them in there till they freaking die.
We should bring it back to the old school and just bring him out to the park. And didn't they hang him? God, I feel so inhumane right now. I need to stop hanging out with you. But no, that's ridiculous. I mean, okay, maybe give him a year of court, whatever shenanigans of the family thinking that whoever's innocent for murdering whoever. But
Well,
We
that
need-
was the deal. And 5 years
That's
is
done,
reasonable.
though. I mean, I can see. No, 5 years is still a long time. Give them 1 year, maybe
Well-
2. Hurry the hell up. Courts need to move it along.
Executioner Stephanie.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
If there was like we got to
Look, I'm
investigate.
for the 5-year deal. Look who's for
Yeah, I
1
know.
or 2.
But if they need to investigate like a hit and run or something, then yeah, give it more time. But this clearly, I mean, was it an accident? You were stealing the car and then you freaking ran the dude over. How is that no? We need to have a trial about that? Hello?
Well, I'm for that part of speeding. Speeding these trials up that take 3 and 4 and 5 years to get to a trial.
But then they're going to give like the excuse, well, they were on drugs. They weren't in the right mind.
So I don't care.
I know, I'm just saying. That's how I feel. Court system's a freaking joke. Seriously. I don't even want to get started on my own personal stuff.
But no, it just takes. I've always said personal experience at this stuff will change your
Oh,
mind
yeah. It does.
really
Oh,
quickly.
yeah.
See?
Longest freaking divorce ever. Anyways, show me up. Anne writes
So-
in, Tuesday was the first day of fall. We still have hot summer temperatures. She is 100% right. This heat wave's coming this weekend, too. Are you ready for it, Anne?
Yes. No, it is. And the reason we say that because we're going to jump in because, like I said, I thought, tomorrow, I will, okay, and this show is great therapy of that.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I mean, you can. I mean, after the whole board of supervisors cluster foxtrot down there yesterday that went on, and I mean, over and stuff that was done personally to me, which has been done about 87 million times down there by public officials, again because they don't want to hear the truth. Manny Perez, you closed that meeting down because you didn't like what we were saying, and you knew what we were saying was the truth. So, I wake up this morning, after that, calm down. You had the show, vent, got to put all the stuff out, evening, calm down, wake up, it's a new day, let's start fresh. Everything's cool,
My
Hopefully
hairbrush broke this morning. And my
Maybe-
kid's bed.
That must be what it did. Because here comes a big announcement about 8 o'clock. Governor Hairgel's going to have a big announcement on climate change. He's going to have Van Jones, former Clinton official. No, I mean, personally, I like Van Jones is pretty fair, even though I disagree with him a lot. He does come up with some stuff that I do agree with or points out the hypocrisy in a lot of this stuff or a lot of things people say. So, I mean, I at least have a little bit of respect for Van Jones. I have 0. Less than 0. What is the number that's farthest away from 0? That's how much respect I have for Gavin Newsom, that piece of crap. And I will say this, and I said it, you elect San Francisco stupid Gavin Newsom as governor, and I said you will be begging for Jerry Brown back. And as bad as some of the things that Jerry Brown did, he pales in comparison to what this Klondike has done. And is doing and did today. He came out with a proposal to ban the internal combustion engine in the state of California. No, he signed an executive order to do that.
But beginning
In
2035. Right?
He also immediately is banning fracking
Who's fracking?
in the state of California.
What
I
is
see a big
fracking?
smile coming on your face. I know it's
Because I want to say something else, but I know it's not
Yes.
the right word. Not like that. Crap. You know what I mean?
fracking. Fracking is a process that natural gas, as we explained, is made by trash, methane gas coming down through, working its way through there. You put your trash in, it turns into, methane, which reacts with the earth and produces natural gas under the ground. Voila, we pump it out. Well, the natural gas, which just keeps going down and down and down, it gets in the hard rock and shale and, really hard spots where before we could not drill, any of our conventional drilling equipment to get natural gas wouldn't go do it. So we thought we had a finite supplier. We thought we would never get to that. Well, some smart dude developed a process called fracking, where they would go in and put explosives in and blow the rock. Voila, you could
We can't do that anymore?
we can extract the natural gas. Let me finish the story.
Sorry, I got excited.
That fracking word got you.
And explosions, I mean.
So, we've been doing that. North Dakota did that in 2009, 10, when we were having the financial crisis. We thought we were all going down the toilet,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to the point of when they started allowing fracking. Texas did. Man, natural gas getting cheap. You know, about 40% of all our electricity generated, I think, in America is generated by natural gas fired generators. So, man, natural gas just starts getting cheap as all get out. Man, we're producing clean, cheap power with that on top of the board, and voila, here we go. Donald Trump comes in and says fracking's good all across the United States practically as soon as he gets in office. Man, we go from energy dependent on foreign oil to energy not having to import oil to exporting energy. We are now a net exporter of energy. In 2 years, when practically every expert in the world for the last 5 decades has said this would have been totally impossible. The reason things, especially not in California because of AB 32 and all this other crap, is cheaper and stuff, because now we have a clean, cheap source of energy that is doing that, and voila. Man, the economy, along with the tax cuts and everything else. But I said, and our frequent guest, Tom Balbacaro, said it the last time he was on. I said the number one thing that Trump did, of all the things he'd done, was made us not only energy independent, but a net energy exporter. That changes the game all across globally. That changes our status globally around the world. Because now they are dependent on us. Remember how many times we supposedly fought wars in the Mideast and this and that, and they jacked the oil price up to $100+ a barrel, and gas would be $5 a gallon, and we were all going crazy and stuff. You notice how that hasn't happened here lately, even amongst all this stuff? Because now they're going, would you please buy our oil? We're sitting on this, we're pumping it out of the ground, and we ain't got nowhere to go with it. Because the United States is now starting to dwarf the energy market.
Joshua writes in, hey, Roy, let's go roll some coal on Mr. Hair Gel.
This is what he said, and just in case you don't believe me, here's him talking about the executive order he signed today.
We can accelerate adaptation and adoption, and we can in turn grow the economic pie here in the state of California, bringing more and more Californians along. And we'll do that by setting forth a goal, firm goal, that by 2035, in the next 15 years, we will eliminate in the state of California the sales of internal combustion engines. We will move forward to green and decarbonize our vehicle fleet here in the state of California.
There's the one on that. In his own words, he signed the executive order to do this major damage in saying clean. We have the highest electricity prices because of AB 32 under Schwarzenegger and Mary Nichols, which will be on here in a little bit. All of this stuff of the lying crap that broad pulled, of falsifying reports, not doing it, and they knew that the person that did it was a fraud, didn't have any credentials. The report that they based all this climate warming on was it, and this freaking idiot that wants to do electric cars, and I have said it, the only way electric cars work is if you have nuclear power, which this jackass has eliminated. If we would have completed to build nuclear power plants in the 70s like we sold the technology to France, 0 CO2 out of a nuclear power plant. 0. Nothing else does that. Not even solar, because of the price it costs to cut it and everything, it still produces it. And you go across this, and we sold the technology to France. And the only way you get to it, and Sweden. And you know what? You sweep up the amount of environmental damage, dangerous material in a dustpan when they're all done. And you know what? We would be paying a quarter of the price of electricity today. About 4 cents a kilowatt hour versus 14 or 15 we're paying now. If we had to charge 80% of our electricity usage like France does instead of that. And that's where nuclear power works, or electric cars do reduce carbon emissions. If they do, of course, because they have a very cheap source of electricity to do it. We do not. Solar is not, never will be, and all this other wind and all this other crap they're talking about will never do it. It's impossible.
Edward writes in that Newsom needs to stop inhaling carbon.
I agree.
Imagine what the racetrack's going to look like in like 10 years with electric cars.
Here he is on
Sorry,
the
I'm the only one
fracking
that finds it
issue.
funny.
That are vulnerable, and we have a commitment to phase out fracking here in the state of California. Pursuant to this executive order, we will be directing and working very specifically on a legislative strategy to begin the phase out formally of fracking here.
There you go. The two things that are making America great again, he's getting rid of. And he has no plan. His solar wet dream is hideous. It doesn't work unless you have nuclear power, anything electrical. Where are you going to do? You're blowing up the grid right now. You imagine if all of us are plugged into the grid to charge our cars, how much demand that's going to do,
Oh
you
my
complete
gosh.
idiot.
I like that he wants to keep like the air clean and all that stuff, but the universe works the way it does. I don't see why we need to keep changing everything. Everything, leave it as it is. What's that saying? If it's broke, don't fix it. I mean, you got a lot of fixing to do, but
if it's not broke, don't fix it.
that's what I-
No,
That's what I
you should
meant.
have said your philosophy. If it's broke, don't fix it. You would have been right. You could have actually got a dig in there, and you missed an opportunity.
I know, damn it. David writes in, big win for Tesla. David's been hiding from us for a while. Edward writes in, Newsom wants more electric cars, but will still have brownouts.
This is Mary Nichols. Go back to ClimateGate. Well, AB 32, which Schwarzenegger passed, this whole thing on that. Mary Nichols, who is on this whole deal of going on back and forth, is going on. She was at the press conference. That witch is still there since the 90s. Member of the California Air Resources Card is calling for a review of independent researchers' new diesel emissions rule for trucks and buses after learning that the researcher whose work contributed to the pollution and standards in December of 2008 falsified his credentials, Mercury News reports. One columnist is calling the issue California's ClimateGate, a reference to leaked emails from scientists investigating the climate change. Basically, all the stuff they had written, all the stuff was BS. They had to dig it out. They had to go through the emails and do that and that. CARB spokesman Lake on the CARB promptly addressed the situation of potential transit trucks, buses, and the scandal is calling into question the power and response to the air restrictions of policy. Despite the board knowing the researcher falsified his credentials and his analyst was used to impose controversial costly regulations on truck, bus, and diesel powered machinery operators, according to the San Diego Tribune, repeatedly criticized CARB for the adoption of unprecedentedly sweeping and costly diesel emissions, and recently discovered that CARB chairman Mary Nichols knew the researchers' fraud before the December 12, 2008 vote, but decided not to inform the public, media, or most of the board members. She willfully withheld the information that she knew because it did not correlate into her phony report to do all this crap. Now, how in the hell could anybody believe anything these people say? This is 12 years later, and these Klondikes are still there? And you wonder why California is in such a mess it is?
20 seconds.
Can you see? Now I thought I was cool. Put yesterday behind, let's move forward, and then this happens.
5 seconds.
The free phone app today. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music. Comes on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 KMET, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on a
What the what?
Wednesday. I think you got it right both times on that, even though you changed it from the beginning of that. Trying to confuse Roy over here on the deal. No, we're coming to you on that. As we outlined on that, we outlined the tragic story of the man who lost his life trying to keep three suspects, and I'm using that term lightly, who stole his van with all his tools. He was a heavy equipment, big truck mechanic, probably had 10, 20, could have up to $50,000 worth of tools in his van. They were trying to steal it. He was trying to stop them. Unfortunately, he fell out of the van. They run over and killed him of that. And
So heartbreaking. Only 33 years old.
yes. And
Horrible.
And as we did, and you should go back and watch that. I mean, the whole thing with hair gel and the death penalty. If anybody deserves a death penalty, if these people are convicted of that, those do. I mean, that would be swift. And pray tell you don't have a sentence, Judge Stephanie sentencing you or in trial of your judge, because if you're convicted, you're probably going straight to the gas chamber on that.
Yeah.
So pretty much. And you think I'm a little bit off or radical on some of this stuff?
I'm just saying. Why waste the time? I mean, where all that money could be going other than a murderer? I mean, I'd rather it go to my kids and their education or other people's kids and their education.
We've been discussing the aforementioned Governor Hairgel stuff on his echo-weaning proposal. Now he's going to ban the internal combustion engine and fracking in California. If you thought we had the highest gas prices in the nation right now, ha 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 ha. They're going to continue to go higher.
No crap, huh? I need to go buy a freaking new car.
Highest electricity.
I don't want to plug a car that plugs in. It's not a freaking air freshener. The hell is that?
Welcome to California. 'Cause
No.
that's what you're getting on all of this supposedly stuff. And we're going to bring on Susan Shelley here in a second, but I just want to run this clip on hair gel for a second. Here he is.
With innovation and an entrepreneurial mindset that's leading to more customer choice, that's leading to new technological advancements, and allow them to be on the vanguard of leadership, not just in the United States as a manufacturer, but around the rest of the world. Because one thing we know, the trends are in the direction of zero-emission vehicles. The trends are in the direction globally in zero-emission.
Right there. Show me the electric car that has zero emissions from point A till the time it dies. That guy is lying through his freaking teeth. As he said, at best, with the way we're set up, 20%. Maybe reduction at the best case scenario. If we had nuclear power, maybe 50%. And that's if we use nuclear power, which is Klondike is totally against and is banned and is closing down the few we've got. He's a lying sack of bleep. Anybody that why you're not supporting or signing the petition to recall this idiot, I cannot fathom what kind of mindset it takes to get to that point, or what your thinking is. Please call in or comment or tell me how you could believe anything that man says on that. We're going to get our next guest's opinion on this and many other topics. She has a column out on the propositions and recommendations and stuff like that. She's been on here a long time, usually once a week. She's editorial writer for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, and most importantly, Redlands Daily Facts, and about a gazillion other newspapers across Southern California, but more importantly to me, Vice President of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Welcome to IE Newswire with Steph and Roy, Susan Shelley.
Thank you, Roy. Hi, Stephanie. Great to be with you.
Hi, Susan.
I don't know if you caught the whole deal of the Riverside County supervisors and stuff. Jeff Hewitt had a proposal to open it up, and basically the other four backdoored him on the whole deal. Yesterday, I was upset about that. Today's a new day. Got all the frustrations out about that. Thought this was going to be, okay, we're starting a new day. Let's start fresh, yada, yada, yada. And then Governor Hairgel comes out with his eco-freaking yo-hoing. We're banning internal combustion engines, ending fracking. Now, we only have the highest electricity, gas prices, and every other price of every other thing in California doing on that. On top of that, he's lying, as I just played the clip of saying, zero-emission electric cars. I want him to, if he cannot prove that, then he needs to apologize and rescind everything he did, because he's flat out sit there and lied, because electric cars are not zero, and their best reduction at emissions is if you have nuclear power, which he's not only banned here, but gotten rid of the last two plants we had. Stop me before I explode, Susan.
Let's figure this out. This is really much funnier than it seems. Clearly, he's trying to distract from some horrible political catastrophe, because this is so ridiculous. He can't do this by executive order, which is what he didn't even invoke emergency powers. He just did this by executive order. He's banning the sale of a legal product in California effective 2035. He can't do that. He can't ban the sale of guns. He can't ban the sale of plastic straws. He can't ban things by executive order. It has to go through the legislative process. Full stop. So what's he doing here? He's making this enormous, distracting, crazy statement. What's going on? Well, he's got big problems with this COVID thing, where he's not letting businesses open while other states are opening and thriving, and they're doing fine, and California's not. We have obviously terrible unemployment numbers. We lag the country. Probably there's something new coming out on that that's going to make him look terrible. He's trying to raise taxes in the middle of all of this by endorsing all these tax increase measures, like Proposition 15 and Proposition 19. What's that about? And then you've got the unemployment division and the employment development division or department saying that they will not take any new claims for unemployment insurance for 2 weeks because they've got so much fraud and they can't figure it out, and their computers run COBOL from the 1960s. From the 1960s, California, this leader in technology in electric cars, is in the 1960s in computer technology. For goodness sake, they went to the moon with something more modern than that. This is so interesting that he's doing this. He's also doing this for the Democratic Party's national ticket, because to say that President Trump is going to make an issue out of this, that cars are illegal, gasoline and diesel-powered cars and trucks are illegal in California, illegal to sell in the state of California. Everything else is legal to sell in the state of California. We've legalized drugs, and we're going to legalize hallucinogenic mushrooms, and we're legalizing just about everything else. We're letting people out of jail, and everything's just great. And he's going to make Corvettes a crime. This is so silly. This is so silly. This cannot possibly be legal. It must be that he needs a big distraction, which means that we're winning. I'm not sure where we're winning, but he must have seen something in the polling or something in the numbers that made him say, I better drop this today. It was crazy to do that.
It was, and this is what surprised me. And I had to leave for about 20 minutes. I missed it. But at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors, last time there was at least some other people that were on the side of keeping the mask wearing and locking down everything. There was not one. Out of 100 speakers and probably 50 that weren't able to stay for the 5-hour marathon that Perez drug us out on. So, story for another day. Of that, not one everybody wanted it completely opened up now, no restrictions. They couldn't even go with Jeff Hewitt's proposal, which was just stepping a little bit over that. And the other 4 were up there saying, "Oh, we just want to stay with what the governor's doing, and he's doing a great job," and yada yada yada. I mean, I almost wanted to walk out on Lemon Avenue and walk in front of the first bus that was coming and just end this whole thing.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't want anybody walking in front of buses. I don't want anybody jumping off a bridge. This can all be fixed. This can all be fixed. There are petitions out there to recall the governor. I think this is probably going to cause a lot of car dealerships to offer those petitions in the driveways of the dealership with great big sign waving employees saying, "Sign here." This is crazy. This is crazy. The epidemic, the pandemic, the whatever it is receding. The hospitalizations are down, thankfully. The case numbers, the case positivity rate in California, according to the California Health Department, just announced, the positivity rate is 3%. That means 97% of the people who are taking the test are negative for COVID. 97% who are taking the test are negative for COVID. And as you know, they don't want people to just take the test. You have to have a reason to take the test. You have to feel ill, or you have to be in one of these high-contact jobs. So 97% are negative. This is on the downslope, and we should be winding down these emergency powers. But instead, he's looking for ways to extend the emergency powers, and so is the county, and so is the city of Los Angeles, and this is really concerning because people's livelihoods have been decimated. Small businesses that took generations to build up, closing. Restaurant chains, bankrupt. This is unforgivable. There's no reason for it. These businesses can open safely. I think all of these requirements and restrictions could be voluntary at this point. Nobody wants to get sick. Everybody wants customers to feel comfortable and safe. It could all be voluntary. Instead, we've got these government bureaucrats saying we can't reopen because I don't have enough inspectors. Well, why do you need inspectors? Just put out the guidelines and let people live. For goodness sake, there's nothing to be gained by turning this into some sort of a criminal enforcement action. We're all on the same side. We all want to be safe. We all want to be healthy. This is crazy. This is government out of control.
And I say that because the toughest thing that that was to listen to down at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors yesterday were the reports of multiple teenagers that have hung themselves. The man who reported that his employee jumped off a bridge over this whole COVID thing. And to have the other 4 supervisors just thumb their nose and give the middle finger to all the people that were relaying, or the people that have suffered the ultimate tragedy in this. And I mean, and even taking the case, and I love the levity you put to this and stuff, but to take the case like this and the supervisors and hair gel and everybody else, that they're so hung up on themselves or whatever that they will stoop to these matters to try and deflect it or stuff when they ignore the real consequences of the actions they have been subjecting us to.
Joshua writes in that Mr. Hair Gel just took my job away, and now I need to move out of California. It's heartbreaking.
Well, this is past the point of being defensible in any way. I mean, it was defensible. I disagreed with it at the beginning, but it was defensible at the beginning on the basis that we didn't know how serious it might be. We didn't know if the medical system would be overwhelmed. We had bad reports and computer projections out of Italy, and we were alarmed, and they were alarmed, and they did what they thought was best. I'll give them that, to about the end of March. And by then, we knew that the computer models were wildly wrong, that the infection fatality rate was nowhere near what they feared. And thankfully so. Thankfully so. And today, what we're looking at is government officials who are exaggerating the death numbers and exaggerating the risk. You know, the state of California produced a commercial. I saw the 15-second commercial on their Twitter feed, and then I saw the 30-second commercial on a local TV station. And it literally shows this. It shows three couples in their 20s having a nice time at a backyard table, sharing dinner or lunch, and passing the plates around and smiling and laughing but not wearing masks. And this poignant, sad, death-sounding voiceover of a young woman says, "It was just a get-together. Everybody felt fine. But now we're all sick." And then it shows pictures of them in the hospital, on oxygen, in hospital gowns, with monitors in the background, staring at the camera, looking so mournful. Well, that is absurd. They hired actors, and they produced a professional commercial to show you that you can get COVID and die from having a backyard luncheon in your 20s when you're perfectly healthy, which is not true. There are no people in the hospital in California in their 20s from having a backyard dinner. This is not happening. This is not happening. And this campaign of fear, which has now literally moved into propaganda territory where they are hiring writers and actors to write scary things and putting it on television with your money, this is unforgivable. The panic and the depression that it is going to cause, the fear that people are experiencing when someone just walks by them and there's no reason for it. And you talk about people committing suicide, that is a sign that we are so far off track with this so-called health protocol to keep people safe, and we're destroying lives. This absolutely has to stop. I wish more businesses would go to court. I wish more business organizations would stand up and file lawsuits. They're all just pleading with the governor to be kind to them. And I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. This is bordering on murder, and it has to stop.
We got about 7 minutes left. I know your columns on or your recommendations for the propositions. Hit some of the highlights here in about 7 minutes.
Well, I can do the whole list in 7 minutes.
Well, we're going to see. The challenge is on.
All right, start the stopwatch. Let's see if we can wrap it up in 2 minutes. No on Prop 14. It's borrowed money for stem cell research in California, but stem cell research is funded by other entities, and we don't have to do it anymore on California's dime. So no on 14, not necessary. 15 is the attack on Proposition 13. Absolutely no, big, loud no, capital letters no on 15. That raises property taxes on every business in California. No on 15. 16 is the repeal of Prop 209. It would allow local governments to pass laws that require racial quotas. It would make that legal again in California to have quotas for race and gender and ethnicity, for hiring, for college admissions, for contracting. No, that's just a bad idea. Let's keep Prop 209. No on 6. Where was I on 16? 17 is restoring the rights of people who are on state parole to vote. And I personally think that they can wait till they complete state parole to have their voting rights restored. So no on 17. 18 is lowering the voting age for primaries and special elections to 17 for anyone who's going to be 18 by the November election. And we're no on this at Howard Jarvis because this is going to allow high school students to vote on tax increases. Because in California, we vote on tax increases and bond measures and all kinds of things on the primary ballot and on special election ballots. And we don't want high school students listening to their teachers about how much we need higher taxes for schools and getting a one-side presentation and then voting on this. So adults should vote. 18 is the voting age, period. So that's where we are on Prop 18. No on Prop 18. Prop 19 is a great big no, absolutely no. It's $1 billion tax increase on California families. It increases the taxes when property is transferred between parents and children. No on that. It also includes portability, expanded portability. Currently, you can take your tax base with you one time to a new replacement property, and it can only be in counties that accept it or your own county. This would remove those restrictions, but the price is too high. The price is $1 billion tax increase, reassessing property to market value when it's transferred between parents and children unless it's used as a principal residence within a year. So no on 19. 20 fixes some of the problems in Prop 47 and Prop 57, the criminal justice reforms. So yes on Prop 20, because one of the things that's happened is courts have lost their leverage to get people into drug rehab, and we've all seen the consequences of that. So yes on Prop 20 to fix those holes in the opportunity to help people who are addicted to drugs and are falling into the criminal justice system. Prop 21 is allowing radical rent control, which would only result in less housing. So no on 21, rent control is a bad idea. Yes on 22. 22 helps Lyft drivers and Uber drivers and DoorDash drivers keep their jobs because they are currently independent contractors, and the state says they have to be employees and be on payroll with all of the extra expenses of that. And the companies say if they have to do that, they're going to leave California. And they will. That's not a bluff. So yes on 22 exempts those drivers for app-based services from AB 5, which is the law that banned independent contractors in California. What a stupid law. Okay, so yes on 22. 23 is a needless government mandate on dialysis clinics. It would require them to have a physician administrator on site at all times, and there's no reason for that. So it just raises healthcare costs, and the unions want to do it probably so they can offer to undo it in exchange for a union contract or some sort of negotiation like that. No good reason for it. No on 23. No on 24. We have a Consumer Privacy Act that just took effect, and Proposition 24 rewrites it and adds a new state agency to write regulations, levy fines, investigate, and generally make life a living Hades for any business in California that uses an app or a website to reach its customers. Whether you're perfectly in compliance with the law or you're not, you're going to have to fill out paperwork every time you change your technology. You're going to have to do reports. You're going to be investigated. It's going to be a nightmare of legal expenses for every business in California that uses technology to reach customers. So no, at 24, we don't need that. We already have a privacy law. It just started. It's fine. We don't need 24. No on 24. Now, Proposition 25, I'm going to call that a wobbler. I'm voting yes on Proposition 25. This is a referendum on Senate Bill 10, which abolished cash bail, and it replaced it with a system of judicially supervised risk assessment. The idea is if someone gets arrested and they don't have any money, and 1 in 5 people in California lives in poverty, and if you are wrongly arrested, imagine that you're wrongly arrested, and you don't have the money for bail, you could be locked up for 2 months waiting for an arraignment or a trial. You could be locked up, and while you're locked up, you would lose your job, you could be evicted from your apartment, you could have all kinds of financial problems and go into debt, and you're the wrong guy, and you're locked up. What this does is it takes the cash bail out of the equation, and it replaces it with a risk assessment system. Is this person going to be dangerous to the public safety, and is this person going to show up for the arraignment? And then that's supervised by a judge. I think much of the racial tension that we are seeing in our society based on the number of people of color who are complaining that they are mistreated in the law enforcement system, I think a lot of it may be coming from pretrial detention of people who have no money and no contacts, and they can't call their state senator and get a reference. And they are being unfairly treated in the system. So I'm thinking that this is a good place for a reform, to give this a try. And so I'm yes on 25. Yes on 25 is the position that puts the new law into effect. No keeps the cash bail system. So you can make your own, you can do your own research, read these ballot arguments, see what you think about it. You can argue it either way. The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is against it because it will cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's certainly a bad time for that. We don't know where that money will come from. The Southern California News Group is in favor of it because of what I talked about, the idea that people who are wrongly arrested sometimes even plead guilty because they can't sit in custody for 2 months. It's too destructive of their lives. So give it some thought, see what you think.
6 minutes and 42 seconds. You got 30 seconds left to tell them why they should join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
You should join Howard Jarvis because we will give you great information about your taxes, about legislation that's pending that could be helpful or destructive to you, and who you should call and what you can do about it before it becomes law. You should join because strengthening the voice of taxpayers in California is the best path forward for us. That's what we need to do in this state. We need a stronger voice for taxpayers. hjta.org. Join us. $15 a year. Sign up for the free email alerts.
Thank you, Susan. We'll do it
Thanks,
again next week.
Susan.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Well, that was a
I know.
jam-packed show.
I love having her on because she
Yes.
always gives such great information. I want to read Neon Love Machine 1. I feel like I need to say it like that on YouTube. He commented, and I thought this was a good point. This is all because we outed Obamacare, a legal plunder infrastructure, a grand slush. It's going away fun. COVID is just a replacement. What do you think? Do you think this was all happening because we got rid of Obamacare? Or who knows?
We have not gotten rid of Obamacare, so I don't even know where that's going.
No.
Of that. No, I think Susan's on track. I think there's such a they're so afraid that they've screwed the pooch on this COVID thing so bad that the backlash when the final chapter is written is going to be so bad. They're trying to move away. Notice how we didn't even, COVID is not hardly even talked about anymore. I mean, they're even.
So I'm like, there's so much stuff going on in the world, and
Yes.
we're worried about cars and plugging them into a freaking wall. Let's open up our state first before we start worrying about other crap.
Yeah,
It doesn't even freaking
let's
matter.
all
No
not
one's driving anyways. Why the hell do you care, Gavin? Stupid hair gel. I'm just kidding. Now I'm mad.
Well, at least I've groomed you good enough to take this thing over.
Maybe. No, I'm not mad enough.
You're getting there.
No. I don't want to be angry like you. I like my little sparkles. I think
Love
rainbows.
that. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then,
We're gone.